Meeting of the Hampstead Board of Zoning Appeals. It's 7:09.
Go ahead and we'll do a roll call. Vicki Watts,
Here.
Michael Joseph,
Present.
Tracy McCoy.
Here.
Okay, the subject of tonight's hearing is the request by Wash, am I saying that correctly? Wash LLC for a conditional use to operate a car wash at 2305 Hanover Pike. So it's Thursday, January 18th. All persons are reminded that this session is being recorded on tape as required by law for the preservation of records, and are asked, when called upon, to step forward, give your name, address, and general description of your interest in the relationship to the property and the subject of the property. Your property and the subject of the property.
Okay. So an application for a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing was received from Harry Pappas of Wash X LLC by the town of Hampstead on November 30th, 2023. A date of January 18th, 2024 was set for the hearing. Notification letters to adjacent and adjoining neighbors were sent on December 20th, and a public notice announcing the hearing was published in the December 28th and January 4th editions of the Carroll County Times. On January 4th, a sign publicizing this hearing was posted on the property where the conditional use would take place, where the requested conditional use would take place. Also on January the 9th, I received an email from Steve Johnson expressing his opinion on this conditional use. I would like to read this now, read the email, and let it be included into the official record of this hearing. So the email came once again on Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024 at 10:25 a.m. Jim, my name is Steve Johnson, and I am a resident of Oakmont Green. I am writing to you to express my concerns about a possible car wash at the entrance to our community. Traffic is already horrible at this condition, and I am sure the amount of water use is also a problem. There are better locations for this down Route 30, which is more of an industrial area. I think the town should decline this zoning appeal. Thanks.
If there are no objections, the documents provided will be entered into the record of this hearing. Okay. Do you want zoning administrator, can you outline the case and make any statement on behalf of the town?
Sure. So case A-234 is a request by Wash X LLC for conditional use to operate a car wash at 2305 Hanover Pike. This property was purchased by Eagle Realty LLC in April of 2023 from New Windsor State Bank. The bank building on the property has been vacant for several years. The current owner authorizes the applicant to make this appeal and is in support of the conditional use. This property is in the general business zoning district and is served by public water and sewer. Hampstead Town Code, Article 135-133, states that car washes, if located at least 300 feet from the boundary line of a residential district, are conditional use requiring Board of Zoning Appeals authorization. The proposed property is approximately 500 feet from the closest residential district boundary line. Additionally, if the Board of Zoning Appeals grants this conditional use for a car wash, the site plan is required to be reviewed and approved by the Hampstead Planning and Zoning Commission, along with Carroll County Bureau of Development Review. The plan for the car wash is to capture the rainwater on the site and use a recycling process as the water source for the car wash operation. Town water will be supplied to the site, but will only be used for regular operations such as bathrooms, kitchens, and sinks. Commingling of town water with any other water source is strictly prohibited by town code. There is nothing in the town code to prohibit this conditional use, and it is a recommendation of the zoning administrator to defer to the board's judgment for the case decision. And that is the zoning administrator statement.
Okay, so now we'd like to invite the appellant to outline the case and, hold on. Oh, yes, okay.
Not really an appellant, they're an applicant, because they're not appealing anything.
Well, it says
I
appellant.
know
on
it
my-
says appellant.
I am trying to follow.
I understand, but it could be confusing.
All right, so, yes, you ready?
Sure.
Thank you. Just remember to state your name and,
We'll have to turn on the microphone first. Press into the little green button. when the mic turns on.
can I have a pen?
It's good. Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, board. My name's Harry Pappas, 5 Deep Run Court, Cockeysville, Maryland, 21030. I am the managing member of WashX Car Wash. I am a native to Maryland, Baltimore County resident, born and raised. We are excited to be growing our WashX brand throughout the state of Maryland as well as Delaware. We are currently under construction in our first location in Fallston, Maryland, and have several others in development in Hartford, Cecil, Baltimore, and Carroll counties. We look forward, hopefully, to our entry into the Hampstead market and are excited to provide this community with our express car wash services. We're attempting to be stewards of the environment by deploying our water reclamation system that polishes all of the water that used in the car wash process, as well as state-of-the-art rainwater harvesting, collection, and storage facilities. We'll be collecting rainwater from the roof and all other impervious surfaces so as to prevent excess water runoff into stormwater management facilities. We've got the ability to dig a well, so our reliance on the town of Hampstead's public water grid will be for flushing toilets and washing hands, as Mr. Rourke mentioned. Our intent is to be able to repurpose the old New Windsor Bank branch by utilizing the beautiful stone charm of this building and blending it with our modern approach to car washing. We plan to utilize the existing traffic patterns as well, and we're investing close to $4.5 million into this project. We will provide our customers with the free use of 20 vacuum stations to vacuum their own interiors, as well as microfiber towels and detergents to also clean the interior. Our dryers are silenced to under 70 decibels so as to limit the noise outside of the wash bay. Our car wash members will be identified with license plate recognition technology that immediately lifts the gates for them for quick access to the wash bay tunnel. We look forward to employing and servicing the constituents of Hampstead. Thank you for your time this evening. Anything else?
Yeah, I can ask my questions now.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want me to present, or do you want both? I'm the engineer. Do you want both of us to present and then ask questions?
Okay, you
Just
can
a
do
point
that.
of order.
Yeah.
I have
Mhm.
questions
No,
too,
that's
but-
fine, because you may answer, so. I mean, you may answer the question I'm going to ask. So, yes, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, wait, I think, well,
It's fine either way. I just wanted to make sure
okay.
that,
All right.
you know.
I know I have one specific for him, but go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
Harry, why don't you both stand up there? You
I just wanted
introduce
you to
and-
say again what
Well,
you just said about this.
Hold. Fine, grand. But when you're answering, please identify yourself for the record, because there's no way the recording machine will know which one of you is talking.
Sure.
Can you just repeat what you said about the license plate thing? I got lost. Wait, what were you
Sure.
saying?
I'm Harry. The license plate technology it's basically a camera that's on the teller sides of the building, basically where the teller booths were before. Those are going to become our pay stations. And when a customer pulls up to the car wash drive aisles, those customers that are members will this technology will recognize their license plates and will lift the gates for them. It's kind of like a quick process to get the customers in and out quickly, and it's for our members specific customers.
So,
Does that make sense?
well, can I ask more? I ask
Sure.
a lot of questions,
Yeah,
just so
go
you
ahead.
know. So if you're not a member, then you put your credit card in or something?
Right, we'll have two pay stations. One is actually going to be where the old ATM machine was in the bank branch, and yeah, it'll be like a little kiosk. We'll have tap to pay, we have credit card swipe or what have you.
Okay, so the
there'll
member
be
thing
two
just uses-
pay stations for making those types of transactions, and then those that are already members, the gate just recognizes the cameras recognize your license plate and lifts the gate for you automatically. You don't have to pay with a credit card. It bills your account
Okay,
on a monthly
gotcha.
basis.
Okay, I got you, understand now. All right, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure we weren't skipping out of turn. So, Tom Miner, Frederick Ward Associates, the engineer, 5 South Main Street, Bel Air, Maryland. So I'm just going to go over kind of the site plan that we have developed, and then just some points not the non-exciting points, to make sure we're just showing that we're compliant with the code requirements. So currently it's a bank use. It has 3 drive aisle service windows, along with 26 existing parking spaces. The total square footage is approximately 4,500 square feet. That's with a basement and a first and a second floor. Bank's been obviously not utilized for a few years, and we're looking to improve that both architecturally to utilize the existing space, and then grow into it to allow the car wash to continue to be utilized on the back end of the site. For Exhibit 1 that we have here, that's just the site plan that we've submitted to you guys for the Board of Appeals that you have in your package. Sorry.
That's the cover page.
Correct. Yeah, so
'Cause I'll mark them.
bottom left-hand side says Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
No
Did my
problem.
work for me.
So, so that's our site plan. I'll go through, just a high level. With it, you have the existing bank building that we're utilizing the entrance as the entrance, or the front door effectively will be removed, and then utilizing that entrance as the car wash entrance. The bays for the car wash is 120 feet long in total. We're going to extend out the building, and I'll get into the renderings and the architecturals in a few seconds, but generally the plan is to have a 120-foot bay, kind of as a continuous roll as it washes your car and kind of goes through. Once you exit the car wash, you're going to then take a right, and then you'll be passing through the vacuum stations, or the parking area for the vacuum stations. We have a total of 21 vacuum stations and 3 standard parking spaces. The 3 standard are really just for the employees. Typically, we're looking to have 3 to 4 employees per shift. The operation hours are 8 to 8, is what we're anticipating currently. So we're anticipating somewhere in the order of, depending on how many shifts and employment types, 6 to 10 or so employees in that range to be in. Huh? If not more, it just depends on how many hours everyone wants to work, really. So that's kind of an employment that we're going to be bringing to the area. As far as the site flow goes, we're generally keeping the same traffic flows that are currently out there, which was kind of the general concept for the development of this site, is to keep the site, for the most part, the way it works, the way it functions, the entrances, the structure. We know that the citizens of Hampstead like the building, and so we're trying to keep its character as much as we can, while also repurposing it for a higher, better use. Going to Exhibit 2, we're going to have the renderings for the site. So that would, I guess you can go, part of Exhibit 2 is also the floor plan just to take a look at that. I'm not going to go too much into detail. That's a car wash running through the systems with the different mechanical equipment. You have your equipment room, you got a break room for the employees, bathrooms, office, kind of just the standard operations to allow the car wash bay to function. And then particularly flipping to the renderings, would be the front rendering. You can see how we're keeping the existing structure for the most part unchanged, other than having an entrance through the front there where the current door is. Obviously it has to be a little bit larger than the current door, but we're attempting to keep this structure, unchanged, and then the additional structure we're attempting to blend in with that. So you're still promoting the stone and the architectural features that are so prominent on there. I guess the porch overhang, the columns. We'll have to obviously reconstruct that because currently there's 4 out there. We're making 2, but architecturally we're trying to keep this very similar. If you flip to the rear rendering of that, you'll kind of see what the rear side of that kind of works into. The horizontal lapping of the facade kind of keeps with the standard architectural style that we as a brand have, but again, trying to adapt the brand styling to the structure to blend in with the surroundings. You'll also see kind of roughly how the vacuum stations work, if kind of on that functionality basis. And then flipping to the last page, which is just kind of an aerial rendering, so you can get an idea of how, if you're coming off Main Street, you'll see how that kind of integrates in with the rest of the site visually. So just kind of went through that real quickly, but you just kind of see that we're attempting to work with the current architectural features and work in with the site as it currently stands. Zoning review, Jim reviewed, the general zoning, it's general business. We're not changing really the structure in the front. So the front setbacks remain the same. It's a 20 on the front, 10 foot on the sides and rears. We're not near any of those setback lines. We're respecting those pretty heavily. And then a 50-foot max building height, which isn't an issue for us. The rest of the surrounding of this area is generally, commercial use, commercial, institutional. We think that particularly, being near a Walmart, being near the library, it's helpful for parents if they're typically dirty cars, parents with the kids and everything. Vacuum stations are particularly helpful with that type of situation. So we just think that the location, particularly on a corner, and the multiple access points is just a nice location beneficial for this type of use. Going into traffic, so the last exhibit 4, shows the trip generation that we are anticipating. So without going into a lot of, I'll go into a little bit of the traffic aspect of it just in case for concern. So we use the 11th edition of the ICD.
No, that's 3.
Oh, you know what? I apologize. I skipped exhibit 3. You're right. 2 to 4.
Well, where's 4?
4 is the
Or is the individual sheet that,
individual sheet.
Oh.
Sorry about that. First time someone said I wasn't loud enough.
Have it.
Oh, is it? I can just talk a lot louder if you want me to.
Not that lost.
Is that your recording device, though?
no.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
I tell you what, did that die?
It's showing red. Is it
Oh,
my back? Okay, maybe it's.
I think it's just too short.
Just yell at me if I'm not being loud enough, and I'll step it up. Sorry, correct. So for exhibit 3, skip that one. Apologies. That's just showing that we're greater than 300 feet away from a residential zone. Jim had mentioned approximately 500 feet, and the code says 300 feet from a residential zone to the use, and it doesn't specify whether that use is the building use, the property line use, or the property line is the use. So I took the most restrictive take, which was the corner, the closest corner of the property to the closest corner of the residentially zoned location, and that was 370 feet. So just to note why there might be a discrepancy, it just depends on where you're measuring from. But we're greater than 300 feet from any residentially zoned property. And then going to, for the traffic, the traffic analysis. Mike died.
Tell you what, why don't you just come over here and everyone can speak from this podium facing out and just be loud.
All right. Will do. All right. So for the traffic analysis we did, it was not a full traffic impact study, and the reason for that is that based on we used the IT 11th edition. They just update them occasionally just to determine based on trip counts that a user creates. And they have different codes for a bank, a car wash, a retail facility of certain sizes. So they have all this data that they use for modeling the amount of trips that are generated. We took the total square footage, size, and bays, or service bays, or drive-through windows that the bank had, and did a AM and peak trip generation. The peak was generated was the PM was the peak that was generated, and so we attained 95 trips per hour.
You said per hour?
Per hour, correct. And that's 48 in, 47 out. It's again, you're kind of doing standard estimating of this type of use. So that was for a bank use of that size. We then took this for a car wash use of the size that we have, and the the car wash, the ITE code that we use for this, which is it's just a table with a graph based on sizes, and it has two different ways we can do it, which is why you have two different numbers here. It has building size, and then it also has how many bays the car wash has. So we did both of them for you just so you could kind of see that both either in building size or in drive-through number of drive-through service bays. We're below the peak generated trips that the bank would create. So for building size, it's 66 total trips, 33 in, 33 out. For the if you're doing through the bays, then it would be 78 trips. Again, it just depends how you model it. It's close and it's below the current bank utilization. Going on to a little bit for stormwater management. So because we have greater than 5,000 square feet of disturbance, we're required to provide stormwater. And this is an existing site, so it has to be, we're required to provide half an inch of our disturbed area. The model that we have for our design is to capture substantially more than that in our storm drain system, so that then we capture it, we store it, we reuse the runoff that's generated for the car wash, actually utilizing it. So we have both, we're capturing runoff, reutilizing that for washing the cars through the filtering devices that we have, but we're also provided a well on site as well, so that then if during a drought, or if we're just heavier use than what's actually generated during that time which we capture, we will also have a well on site to fill up the tanks. The way the car wash is, it's a tank storage system, so you're going to be pulling from this tank. So if the water level drops too much, we'll kick the well on and kind of fill it up. So we're not going to have anything connected to, there's no water demand connected to the public system. So that's what Jim was referring to. It's completely separate from that for water utilization. I'll go through real quick, and sorry, it'll be kind of boring, just to show the special conditions that are required. They're noted in your zoning code, just to say, here's what you have to consider technically as a board, and just to show that, hey, we are meeting those requirements. And if you have any questions, just kind of dispel some of those items. So the big item for special conditions is we have to be within 300 feet, or 300 feet away or greater than residential zone. Exhibit 3 shows that. The nearest residential zone is our R120, it's parcel, or 120,000. Private conservation, it's parcel 780, for the record. The limitations and guidelines in your section 135-274 is, it kind of specifies things that you should consider when considering the Board of Appeals. So starting in with public health, we believe that we're respecting the water that Hampstead has. That's one of the big items that we were focused on during this design and during our consideration of citing both the well, the water harvesting system that we're doing for stormwater, and during car wash cycle, if you wash it off, you're not generating the dirt that's getting on cars, the oils getting on cars is now getting washed off into an area where it can be properly disposed of. So rather than during a rain cycle, that's how some people wash their cars during a rain. That's now we can actually dispose of some of that actually in a proper location. Safety, there's staff on site at all times during operations. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be video monitoring also during non-operating hours. But the car wash is, you're going through the car wash, your doors are closed, you're not operating any kind of hoses or anything else. There's very little chance of any kind of icing that would occur as an outdoor wash or anything like that would occur. So, that aspect, we believe it's going to be a little bit safer. It dries off before you leave the car wash, so you're not going to be dripping out and creating an ice track. Morals is one of them. I don't think morally car washes are too much of a moral issue, I don't think, but that's just one of the things to consider. General welfare, we consider, I guess I would consider general welfare being trying to keep the aesthetics of the building, as they are. People like that, we want to consider that. It's more expensive, more effort for sure. It took us a little bit of time architecturally to make sure that we worked all that together, but it was important to us. So just want to, being part of the community, the owners are a part of the community. They live up this way. They're close to the community, so it's important to them. Dangerous traffic conditions was one of the items. So we're keeping the existing traffic patterns as they are. The exit points, we're reducing traffic as Exhibit 4 showed with the IT counts that we had. So I don't think that we're increasing at all the traffic conditions or the negative traffic conditions that there are any out there right now. Jeopardization of lives or property living in the neighborhood. We're 300 feet from residential zones. We're not increasing traffic. I don't think we'd be having those issues. And then the number of people residing or working in the immediate area concerned. We're providing jobs for locals, we believe. These are going to be, we're providing increased employment for the area. So that's something that I know we're proud of. Orderly growth, this is an infill situation. We're not clearing out green fields. So this is an existing bank. We're not paving a grass area currently. We're keeping the paving as it is, and we're actually reducing runoff that's generated because we're capturing a substantial amount more of the runoff that's currently being generated than what's going into the stormwater systems now. Traffic conditions and facilities, we kind of reviewed that. Effects of such use upon peaceful enjoyment of people in their homes. We're away from residents. Conservation of property values, we believe that we're going to be increasing values around better usership, a higher and better use, we believe, than a bank user, which obviously hasn't been operational for a little bit. So we believe we're adding capital to the community. Effects of odor, dust, gas, smoke, fumes, vibrations, glare, noise to affect property value. We're not going to be generating anything additional or anything other than just the standard operations of a facility. Most appropriate land use and structure. We're keeping the structure and we're trying to adapt it as best we can. One of the items says purposes of these regulations as set forth herein. I think we've met the purposes that we're requesting, which is to be away from the residents, but then also be on a main use to operate a business. And then the decisions of courts. I guess on the last end of that is, typically, the last portion is, unless there's I think that the last Board of Zoning Appeals I came through, the attorney said that to reject, you have to have evidence and reasonable articulable reason for rejecting it. So we think that we've met those requirements based on kind of our findings and the code as it's outlined. So thanks.
Do we get to ask questions?
Yeah.
You do. Sorry, I wanted to go through that quickly just so we can
That was
answer your
a
questions.
lot of information, so I have a few questions.
Me
Can I
too.
go, or you have some
Yeah,
questions?
I mean, you may have mine, so go ahead.
So sorry, I was just writing stuff down everywhere. I didn't think you were gonna finish that fast. On this exhibit 4, these AM and PM peak, how you have like they're for PM 66 and 78 that you have.
Correct.
Where do these numbers come from?
So that's basically the IT, which is I don't know what the acronym actually stands for, but it's the traffic manual, which all traffic modeling is kind of coming from. So that manual, they take all of the data, traffic counts from various different types of users, and then put them on kind of a plot sheet to say, if you have a building if you have a restaurant that's 5,000 square feet, it's generally anticipated to create this much traffic. If you have a building that's going to create, it's 10,000 square feet, it's this much traffic. And so it's a graph that they pull from, and then they use that data.
Is it specific to location, or is it specific to the type of business?
Specific to the type of business typically.
Okay.
And then it has other considerations depending on that type of business. Just like with the car wash, it has either bays or square footage. And then typically the traffic engineer determines a lot of times, or it's coordinated with the traffic engineer and the municipality, how you would model that.
And then, is this the average over the course of a year, or because I would think that it would be different in summer versus winter? And
It is, so it's based upon an average expected peak generation. So
Okay.
it's based upon, it's modeling, it's a bunch of different data points that they pick, and then they try to make a best fit so that then you can have an expectation of what kind of traffic you're going to
I
generate.
don't mean to sound dumb, but when you say they, who's they? Who are these people that are putting
Traffic
this together?
Institute, so it's kind of like
Is this like a government thing?
it's
Or
not.
is it like a private?
It's not really a government thing. It's kind of the body that kind of determines how traffic studies. So you have Traffic Institute. You have various governing bodies that
Alright.
then create
I'm
these
just curious.
these
Okay.
manuals, and that's how all traffic studies are governed. I mean, not all, but all the ones that I know in Maryland.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Google is correct. ITE stands for Institute of Transportation Engineers.
Thank you. Sorry,
Sure,
a lot of acronyms.
Well,
and-
there's about 6 other things that ITE stands
Something
for.
with
But
traffic,
the
I'm
only
pretty
thing
sure
that's
about that.
relevant tonight is the Institute of Transportation Engineers.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with traffic engineering. I am not a traffic engineer in particular. A traffic engineer did create this for me because the manuals are thousands of dollars, and I had them create that. So,
Okay. I get.
that's fine. No, just-
Do you have questions?
I do.
Okay.
I just
Go
want to
ahead.
throw
I
a
don't
couple
wanna
out.
monopolize 'cause I asked
No,
that. You might
you-
ask. Go ahead.
So this is a 2-story building.
currently, it is a 2-story building.
So what's happening to the second floor?
The second floor is not going to be. We're basically gutting the whole internal structure of the building because of the fact that we need more room for all the equipment and everything else. The internals of the building becomes 1 floor now.
But okay. So my main question is this. If you're only relying on rainwater,
And the
Right.
well.
okay, but the well's going to be filled by the rainwater, the drainage.
No, so we have a well that you drill into the ground
Uh-huh.
for if the rainwater isn't sufficient to be for the car washes. The car wash, the general use per wash after it's recycled, because it goes through recycling. We use 100 gallons, say, in a car wash, but it gets recycled down to approximately 15 gallons is needed for every makeup that can't be recycled out of 100. If we're going to pick rough numbers that we're going through.
So of 100 gallons of water, you're getting 85 when it's recycled.
We're getting 85 back to the
Right,
recycle
once it's
again.
recycled.
Correct.
Okay. And how much water is in that well?
It's pulling from the groundwater.
Oh, which comes from,
The ground
I know, I get that.
comes from.
It's like, I want to be nice.
I
but-
know, I'm trying, because I'm just,
So the rainwater, that's anything that's running off from our site, that's generated from our site.
Right.
It goes to an inlet. It's going to then go to a storage tank and then be pulled from there. If there isn't water, most municipalities, let's put it this way, most municipalities, once we utilize all the stormwater that's available to us, we pull from the municipality. That ends up, I just did one for the city of Aberdeen.
okay,
That ended up being, and again, you're doing average rain cycles and such. That ended up being approximately 1 EDU, which is 250 gallons a day. So you'd be averaging 250 gallons of use a day.
I mean, I'm only saying this because having come from, the country, wells dry out, right? I mean, they just dry up, and then so if that happens, if we go through this dry, which the news tells us we're in a drought all the time. We always need more rain, rain, rain. Like, I'm just concerned, like, is there always going to be enough water to run this car wash without pulling from the town?
So we won't even be hooked up into the town.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So the aquifer, the well we'd be drilling effectively would be a residential style well. As far as capacity and size, we're not anticipating on using that much. We are not anticipating on using the well that much at all anyway. Because
So if you didn't have the well, where would that water go?
if we didn't have a well,
Yeah, if you didn't dig a well to pull from the ground, water from the ground, what would happen it would just stay in the ground? It wouldn't go out? I mean,
so if we didn't have a well and we ran out of reuse water from
no,
rainwater
if you
harvesting-
weren't to put anything there, if you were not to put a car wash there, right? Would that water that you're going to pull from the ground for your well, would that go to anybody else?
I don't think anyone else has a well in the vicinity.
Okay. Right, so that's what I'm trying to I mean, I know I'm not asking it right, because I'm just trying to wrap my head
I
around
see what your
this.
concern is. Would we be overutilizing the well to then impact
The residential
groundwater-
area, right?
the residential area from there? We're fairly far from any kind of residential housing. So,
Excuse me, I appreciate everyone has an opinion,
Yeah.
but we have a recording. And in order for the recording not to sound like mud, I ask everyone please to try not to murmur loudly. And when it is time and you have something to say, we'll say it, and that way everything will be clean. It's really hard when people are talking to hear anything that's going on. I appreciate that.
so I see where you're going with that is
Right.
pulling from the well,
Right,
then adversely impacting other wells in the vicinity
Correct.
of that. So, I guess a couple items then to go with that is that for that we didn't do a particularly for this project because we weren't utilizing public water. We didn't do a determination of the amount of use, and then how much water we would need from the well, just because the amount of water we typically need from a public use for the harvesting with all of that. The site we just did a analysis on was it was 0.84 I think EDUs, which ends up being 0.84 times 250 gallons per day. A typical house utilization is 250 gallons per day. So we would be looking at approximately, on an average, 250 gallons per day of water, similar to a single family house, on utilization. And droughts and everything else that we're trying to model this on, if it doesn't rain for 6 months versus doesn't rain for 2 weeks, all of that depends. But we're not tied into we're fairly far away typically. So the other part of this too is when we do a well, we obviously have to get approval from the town, but we also have to make a request to MDE. And part of that request to MDE is we have to then, make a groundwater reuse withdrawal permit, We're not allowed to utilize more than a certain amount of groundwater for certain permits. The one we request, it gets metered for public, when you have that public use aspect of it. So they're gonna make sure we're not overdrawing either.
That is correct. Once, they have to get approved by the MDE, as Tom said. They also have to get approved by Carroll County Department of Health. And when those reports come out from both entities, the town will be informed of what they say. And if there's any impact or what the impact would be on the town and the town's water system, we will be made aware of it well in advance.
But then the approval's already been made.
By you all,
Right.
yes.
The
But not
approval
the
is
use-
just for the use. The
Yeah.
approval is not for
Yes.
the water
No,
appropriation.
that would be for the use of the well.
Okay.
So, and then I guess just to clarify, so while I presented all of this information, we also still have to go through the planning commission 3 times
Right,
over.
right, yeah.
Or 2, 3?
Two.
2, sorry. We have to go to the planning commission twice over, so we have to be presenting this information to them as well. And, you know, that being a concern, we're gonna make sure we have those flow data and that type of information. Also, you know, groundwater aspects. What's the distance, you know, if we have a cone of depression from the well usage, what's the typical distance from that cone of depression? You know, if those are concerns, we can then look into those. Obviously, it's very hard to kind of pick all of the
Yeah,
different
I know, I
concerns,
get
but
it.
we you know, we hear you, and we will want to have answers for that.
Go ahead, you can, I just,
Um,
oh, do you have questions? Sorry.
Please
we're just-
continue.
Okay.
Take over.
Okay, so I'm gonna get away from water for a minute, although that was a good question.
Thank you.
Is it one way in and one way out? You come in one entrance and you go out, or can you come in?
You can come in either entrance, and it's
Okay,
the same
so
traffic
one's gonna
flow
be
that's
off
there
of
currently.
Hanover Pike and one's gonna be off of
Eagle Ridge.
Eagle
Eagle
Ridge.
Ridge, yes.
Okay, and that entrance off of Eagle Ridge, if you're, is across from there is like the mattress store, that other,
Is the library across from there, I thought?
No,
it's
It's behind us though, right?
correct.
The
Yeah.
shopping center is adjacent, it's a mattress on the corner, and then the
yeah, like
Fratelli's
Fratelli's
shopping
and all that is
center.
straight across
Correct.
from there. Okay, and you can come in and out there.
Correct, we have
Or
an
you
access
can come
easement.
in
on
and
that
out to
as well.
30,
Yes.
but you would only be coming one direction onto 30. You could come out, or does that come out at the light?
You can make a right in, you can also, I believe, make a left in as well.
Yeah.
But you'd have to cross over traffic.
Not on 30, there's a median there, you can't make a left into the.
Okay,
Hold on a second,
yeah,
hold on a
I know.
Sorry.
I just have to keep a record,
Yeah, because we don't
and
know
I
who's
need
talking.
to know
Sorry,
who's
so-
talking and things like
So,
that.
the current, I guess the main statement is the current traffic patterns that's there currently, we're not changing. So,
Well,
yeah.
there's nobody going in and out there right now, though.
sure.
The place is empty, so traffic's pretty good right there right now because there's nobody in the building. But if you have people in that building, and then you have people coming in and out, so that's what I'm trying to visualize how people are going to come in and out of there off of 30.
So, I'd have to look and see if what the restricted,
yeah,
if there's a
okay.
restricted move. The answer is I don't know if there's a restricted left in. You can obviously make a right in, right out there, but the way that the intersection is currently configured, there is also the ability to make the left in across.
Is there?
The way that
No.
Isn't there a median
Is there-
strip there?
Yeah.
Is there a
so
median strip in that location?
You can enter as you're heading north on 30, off of 30, and when you exit onto 30, you must head north also,
Okay.
So there's a
towards
median strip
towards
in
the
center
light
there.
right there.
Okay. Apologies, I didn't look at this the other
Okay,
meeting.
all
Just the
right,
way the
gotcha.
entrance is configured,
Yeah,
it's open enough
it,
where you can
on none
make
of
the
these
turn.
things can I really see how you come in and out of here. So
how many parking spaces?
So we have 3 for employees, and then another 21 vacuum spaces.
So you're projecting 3 employees a day are working, 3 employees a shift? Is that what your projection is?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. And so it will just be 3 employees on site the entire time it's open?
Can I speak to this? I'm one of the
Oh,
managing partners.
so
as
if
well.
you want to step
Yep.
up to the mic, state your
Michael
name.
Deutsch, 100 Schwann Road, Valley, Maryland, 21030, partners with Harry Pappas. Yeah, so we're an express model business, so we'll have anywhere from 3 to 4 employees on site at a time, and that's including a manager, assistant manager, a loader, which loads the vehicles onto the to the wash tunnel, as well as just a regular employee that's managing the property, keeping it trash, neat, washing towels, so forth.
So I'm just trying to visualize, if you have only 3 employee parking spaces, if you have more than 3 employees on site, where are the other employees parking?
Yep, so we have, like Tom just mentioned, we have 20-some vacuum spots that could also be utilized as, you know, most days they're not gonna be fully occupied, so we could utilize those as additional parking spots for just regular customers that are coming in to buy certain things inside, or additional employee parking as well.
Okay.
So there'll be plenty of spots for that.
So you don't drive your own car through?
You do.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so
You
you'll.
said something about loading the
If
car.
you
or
follow the
something.
site plan, the customer will literally pull up, there'll be 2.
So what's the loader guy do?
So he'll process, once the vehicle's processed into the kiosk or the queue, so if you're a member or you're a paying customer, your gate will lift up, you pull around, that loader will have a queue, a computer system inside the wash tunnel, show which vehicle, it takes a picture of the vehicle, shows what wash package they got, they'll enter the vehicle into the queue, and they'll load the customer onto the belt.
Okay.
Once the customer gets onto the conveyor belt system, they'll, you know, communicate to put the vehicle in neutral, foot off the brake, all that good stuff, and to ensure the vehicle is properly loaded onto the belt, and then vehicle goes on its way.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Do you have questions?
And then just to add to that, the customer comes out of the wash tunnel, if they want to vacuum the inside of their car or clean the inside of their vehicle, those are where their spots will be, so they'll loop to the right. They can also loop to the right and exit the property back onto 30, or they can go out to Eagle Ridge Court, and exit the property as well, and then go up to the light, make a left, or go right back to Oakmont Green. So there's, like we said, 2 ways in, 2 ways out, just to keep the flow.
Okay.
But
And-
exiting back onto Eagle Ridge, that doesn't take you back into residential, right?
It does not. It takes you onto the right across, adjacent from the CVS and the mattress on the corner. So you could literally go straight across into that shopping center, or you can make a left and you go up to the light, and then Walmart straight ahead.
Okay,
or
so you'd have to
30
go
left,
right to go into the residential.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Can you briefly help me understand how the dirty water off of one car becomes the clean water for the next car?
Filters. So there's a number of different stages in the filtering process.
Okay.
So you're going to start with, we'll just start with the tank system, the current tank. So the rain runoff comes in, goes into a current storage tank. From that storage tank, just taken from the parking lot, the rooftop runoff, goes to that tank. It settles out any type of just general heavy solids, things like that. From there, it'll go through an old water separator. So that's a baffled system. So it's kind of running through there. Again, it's been sitting for a while at that point. So it's cleared out for a good bit of any kind of heavier particulates. Goes through an old water separator that then also takes off any type of any kind of lighter than water products. Could be petroleum, could be other stuff. Takes that off, and then from there it goes to a pump. From that pump, it then puts it into it's a proprietary type filtering devices, which includes kind of like your Dyson type, centrifugal, spinning. There's O2. Yeah, reverse osmosis. There's a number of different filtering devices depending on the need of the wash. So like a reverse osmosis is the last rinse. So you don't have any minerals whatsoever on there, so that then it's a completely clean water. You're not getting any kind of film or residue coming from that. But then earlier into the cycle, it doesn't need to be that level of, especially the first rinse. It doesn't need to be a reverse osmosis level distilled water. So I'll say not as clean. You could probably, not saying drink off of the first run, but it's going to be clean water that's filtered to a certain level. So you increase your level of filtering for the cycle of the washer again.
Okay. So the chemicals that are used in the soaps and stuff like that, they go through the filter. Where are they ending up?
So they're getting filtered out as well.
Okay.
Right.
And then, because you had mentioned something before about like the oils and stuff get pulled, like where does that go then? Where do the, you know, the soaps and the oils, the stuff that comes off that gets filtered out, where does
So-
it end up?
Once it goes, so you're pulling from your rainwater harvesting, that pulls into the one system, and then it goes into the actual like whole filter treatment train system. Once it runs off from the car wash aspect of it, the first part is it goes to a sludge settling chamber to make sure that any of that type of stuff pulls out. Obviously, any of the soaps and stuff are grabbing onto any kind of particulates anyway. That's why we're using the soaps. So that's going to be then settling out, and then it goes through that through a treatment train, the same treatment train that the rainwater comes through from there. So
Where does the sludge collect?
it'll be basically like picture like a septic tank before you get to all the other portions of a tank, of a treatment tank system. So there's just another tank, and that's where the sludge, and that's generally where you're going to do your pump outs and such.
Sure.
The intention is to get all the heavies out of that so that really you don't have much past that system for substantial quantity of material.
How often is that cleaned?
Depends on usage, but it's 3 months.
Yeah, we do, currently we do it. at
Can
one
you,
of our
can you
lodge
state your
quarters.
name?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Michael Deutsch speaking. Yeah, we do it on a quarterly basis. So 3 to 4 times a year they'll come and pump out.
Is there any type of system so that, let's say, like wintertime, it's more users have been coming in, so the sludge tank fills up faster? Is there any type of notice that goes out saying, hey, you guys need to come out and clean this out faster?
Absolutely, yeah, we'll monitor that internally and then we'll, orchestrate that through our company that comes out.
Okay.
But, most of these pumping trucks, they service several businesses locally, so we can, tap that at any time.
Sure.
Okay.
The other, are almost all your car washes run 8 to 8?
Yep, so like Harry
Harry,
Pappas
or- yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
before, our first under the Wash X is opening in Fallston. We're hoping next 3 to 4 weeks. But yes, all of our washes as of right now are scheduled to work operate 8 to 8. The only day that we're questioning shorter hours is maybe a Sunday, 8 to 6, 8 to 5.
But not longer hours.
No.
And are there going to be like lights throughout the,
Yes.
the?
So there'll be parking lot lights, of course, lights off the building, and then the vacuum systems that are shown in the pictures that are provided are the arches, which vacuum hoses, air hoses, all that good stuff comes off of. They'll also have LED lights that run out just during this time of year when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, the customer can have some lights to operate.
But they'd all be shut down at 8 when the car wash closes?
Yeah. We'll have regular, just like parking lot lights and the building lights
Right.
on, but the actual arches lights, they don't need to stay on overnight.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions, thank you.
No, I don't, no, not right now. Okay. So at this time, I appreciate very much your presentation. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to invite public comment. Comments first will be heard from any in attendance who do not support the application. And I advise each of you to step forward, state your name, your relation to the property. So, yes, please, come forward. Thank you.
Why don't we come over here?
Oh, yes, go to the podium.
David Walsh, 3136 Shiloh Road, about a couple miles south of the Lepo house property. And, as a young boy, I used to be able to go up to the Lepo farm, and that's where they used to have the steam engine shows. And anyway, it's a lot of good, happy memories there. But one thing I think about is, here in Hampstead area, Carroll County, many people come out here because they like the rural legacy that we have. And we like to preserve that, especially for my children, for their children, that they have some of that when they grow up. as I look at Owings Mills area, whatever, it's the last thing I want to see out here. And you know, the traffic situation, and I don't care what manuals you use to look at traffic, but have you actually been there in rush hour and in the AM and PM when school's in session, the school buses are there, you sit in traffic. So with an additional business, with added more traffic, and of course the last couple of years the bank hasn't been operating, but you know, where we're going to be in 5 years, 10 years with traffic. You got people coming off the bypass. It's like a raceway to get in that one lane to go to Pennsylvania. You got all the Walmart traffic in and out. You got the other shopping area in and out. It's a dangerous intersection now. And I hate to see what it's going to be, just adding more traffic moving down the road. We talk about water. Hampstead has had a water problem for as long as I can remember. And I know this past year we had a drought. For like 2 months we didn't have any water, no rain. And my well actually practically went dry. And I'm thinking now, if you're not gonna have any rain, you're not gonna have any water going into your reservoir to wash a car. That means you're gonna be pulling water either from the ground or you're gonna be pulling water from the town. And it's a huge problem here in Hampstead. You can go back and look at all the records. There's water problems in Hampstead. So, you know, my complaint is I don't want to see the additional traffic. It is such a dangerous intersection now, and I just fear all we're going to do is make it worse. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, we
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Beverly Hockstead, and I don't know quite how I feel, but this was my grandmother and grandfather's property. It was originally owned by the Manchies. Some pronounced it Minky. She ran, along with my grandfather, 4 businesses from that farm. It was called the White Oak Farm. It was rebuilt in 38 or 39 with the stone that you see. My grandmother was Elizabeth Viola Manchi Lepo. Her husband was Hal Randolph Lepo. She ran the farm with her 4 daughters, all redheads. They ran a sawmill, a well drilling business, and a combine business. Many of the personal properties went to the Smithsonian Institute. There was a Maryland Steam Historical Society that was founded at that farm. My grandfather had started that. There used to be, in the late 60s, the steam engine show. And it had an old calliope that went around. Many of the kids from the school would come there after school before it was the school that it is there today. It was a high school previously. The house was rebuilt on the same foundation, and I have wondered why the Historical Preservation Commission hasn't done something. I have talked with Hannah Weber. She said that the town historical is not controlled by the county. So it's up to the town to see if it fits in with the historical area, even though it's not downtown Hampstead. Anyway, that's basically what I wanted to say, and that land was given to my grandmother from her father. His name, my mother called him Gig, and he was a doctor, and he got bedridden and he would read beautiful stories to his grandchildren from his bedridden room, and it's just a lot of good memories there, and my father just recently passed away, so it's just us cousins now who want to help protect the land here in Carroll County, here in Greenmount, and Hampstead. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good evening, board members. My name is Steve Silvestri. I live at 3824 Eagle Ridge in Oakmont Greens. I've been a resident there and a taxpayer for a dozen years. I'm here to talk against this request for conditional use. I have several reasons for that. The first is one of the standards I understand is evidence. And so what I've heard tonight in terms of the presentation has not made a single point of actual evidence of the traffic beyond that intersection. The second point is we're looking at a bank that was closed a number of years ago. In those 4 or 5 years since that bank has been closed, the areas, the commercial areas surrounding that intersection have grown tremendously. We have 2 pizza places, a drugstore, a bank, a child care center, an emergency building, emergency services building, 2 nail salons, a library, 2 pizza places, 4 or 5 fast food places, and a Walmart, all in that contiguous area. We have a 2-lane highway coming into that area, which is probably less than 200 yards away from the proposed entrance. We also have a road that goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane right after that intersection, such that when the traffic light is functioning, when the traffic is there, all that traffic has to go from 2 lanes down to 1 lane to go up Route 30 beyond the traffic light at Eagle Ridge. So it's 1 lane going up there, and people have to climb in. So that traffic has not been measured. There's no evidence in the record right now about that traffic flow and how it impacts the projected numbers of cars going in and out of that car wash. Without that evidence, I'm suggesting that you can't make a decision because you're flying blind. Just with the numbers that I heard tonight, 78 cars daily. We're talking about 6 days a week, not 7, 6 days a week, my math, 40 weeks, just 40 weeks a year. We're talking 19,000 vehicles going in and out of that property. 19,000 vehicles. So, traffic, and one of the standards is safety, and congestion relates to safety. I think that you have to determine what kind of impact that's going to have on the already congested intersection that you have right there. If that intersection is not the busiest intersection in the city, the town, I don't know what is. I mean, I've been going through it for 12 years. It's one of the busiest intersections probably in the county, except for Route 140. Anyway, second issue is access point. So right now, when you come off that highway and you're going north on Route 30, you've got an entrance to the library and the subway, the liquor store, that area right there. That comes right off on that road north as you're coming right off the circle. Their proposed entrance, obviously, is the bank's entrance right now. That's feet from the actual intersection, very, very close to the intersection. So what's going to happen is you're going to have more congestion there as people use that entrance, even if they use it only as an entrance and not as an exit. So that's another safety issue. I'm not concerned about the entrance on Eagle Ridge because that's an entrance on Eagle Ridge. But that entrance on Route 30 poses a safety issue. And I think you should consider that. You should make some kind of measurements of the impact that traffic's going to have with the flow that's anticipated on here, because you don't have any evidence right now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jeff Chenoweth, 2420 Fairway Oaks Court is right behind the neighborhood, right behind the proposed location. I used to live in the very first house crossing the railroad tracks on Eagle Ridge, the one that's most affected, that would be really bad. I specifically moved out of that house because of the pumping station and the shopping center that was put up, which is already a nuisance. So primary concerns would be the decibel level. I know the vacuum cleaners, they say, don't have a high decibel level. But as everybody knows, when you come out of a car wash, those giant fans, the doors open, they blow all the water off the car. They're loud, and that points directly to that neighborhood. It's a shame, and I don't know why nobody's mentioned this, but the poor car wash guy down the street here, he's going out of business, and he's a local guy. So we're going to put a local guy out of business to support people who aren't even from Carroll County. That's a shame. Traffic, everybody's mentioned. When they built the bypass, we had these meetings. The state told us, that's no problem. They lied to us. We're being lied to again. The cars per hour for the bank, you guys didn't know the bank. Nobody went there. There was no cars in and out of that bank. They definitely didn't use 3 lanes. The jobs they're bringing in are low paying. They're garbage jobs. Sorry guys, I know you're trying to make a living, but they're not good jobs. We really don't need those jobs here. And it's an absolute shame to disfigure such a beautiful building. I feel sorry for the lady whose family lived there. It's, what a shame. That building should be put on the historic registry. It's well over 50 years. It needs to be preserved as is. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other public comment in opposition of the application?
Yeah, Tom Sterner, 2409 Rustling Oaks Drive. I'm about a driver in a wedge behind the Situate property. Jeff, great job. I reiterate everything you say. As far as your traffic studies, your ITE numbers that are general numbers, just not even close. They, in their heyday, you know, they had 5 customers a day. That's one of the reasons they went out of business, okay? Water. The town has had fights with that golf course and vice versa, and water has always been an issue. Other people have mentioned it. That's a really main concern of mine. I've been there 25 years. When I get up in the morning, I want my shower to turn on, okay? Just, you know, very concerned about that. Tapping into a well, that's competing with the other wells, with the town wells. So, you know, that's not an answer. I think you mentioned that the guys were local. You guys are local. You're not local. You're not Hampstead. You're Phoenix. Where else? Baltimore County. Not Hampstead. That's it.
Any other public comment in opposition of the application? Oh, okay.
Jimmy, I'll give a little backup to just you guys.
What do you got?
This little spreadsheet here.
Sure.
Just
We-
So-
follow along here.
If the board,
So, what,
have to-
if you would like to let them know what you are handing them,
Right.
your,
they
state
need to
your
see
name.
what they need to see what you're handing out,
Okay.
and the board has to agree to accept it,
Right.
which
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
just a step. It's just a step.
Okay, it's just
You are?
couple pages.
Oh, yeah, can you just state your name? Did you?
That's my first time.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
My name is Bradley Schaefer. I am at 1606 North Main Street, Hampstead, Maryland. I'm the owner of the car wash. Also, I am at 3440 Shiloh Road, Hampstead, Maryland, 21074.
The owner of the car wash?
Yep, Hampstead Car Wash.
Oh, this car wash?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, never mind.
It's just a little packet that I wanted to go through just to show my opposition and non-support of the car wash. If it is okay, I would like to hand it to you just so I could.
It's a general rule. You need to please just show it to the applicant since you're an opponent, both sides need to see what everybody's talking about.
Okay.
Do they get a, can they get a copy?
Yeah,
of
that's
it?
what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so
say.
give them
They
a
need-
copy.
They need to have a
Yes.
copy.
And again, I just put this together, this afternoon. I didn't.
And the board should have the copy, and if there's
Right.
a spare, I'll take one for the
I
record.
just had a couple extras.
Oh, okay.
And then, I have to motion to enter it into evidence.
Well, the board has to agree to accept it into evidence, as well as the applicant's, which I don't believe was officially done yet.
I just handed.
So,
them a copy.
no, you're good.
They-
I mean,
they
as
have to.
part of maintaining the record that I keep fussing about. We need to get that done before. And I'm gonna label this, Mr. Schaefer number 1, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Did I get a copy of it? No.
Now that we've gone through that dog and pony show.
What, did
Go
they
for it.
have to?
No, they don't have to, they don't have
Oh,
to agree to
okay.
it. You guys have to
Okay.
accept it
Do you?
into
I accept it.
evidence.
Okay, yeah, we're good, okay, we're good,
Schaefer number 1.
All right.
got it.
I just wanted to talk about the things that you consider when you're given this conditional authorization. So I just went through. Again, I am. I live on Charlotte Road. We use Broadbeck Road to this intersection. Again, number 3, the traffic conditions. The intersection can't handle that right now. It's already been talked about. Back to that intersection. Broadbeck Road is always backed up at the busy hours. Also, Route 30, Business 30 is backed up between the business hours. My children go to Manchester Valley High School. They go up the bypass. They have to sit at the circle before they can even get through the traffic light. Head north, especially when the traffic light at the middle school is, in operation, and trying to get through that section right where this proposed car wash is going. And again, from there, just back to the intersection, on the drawings of Wash X, they have 2 arrows entering from the Eagle Ridge Court. A gentleman said that there was going to be able to go back out that way to Eagle Ridge Court, but the drawing does not show that when they leave the car wash. So from there, when they leave the car wash, you have to make a right-hand turn there. You have to go up to somewhere to turn around to make a U-turn to go south then to the bypass. Again, there's no way you could get across the traffic lanes to get into the left-hand turn lane like to go into Walmart. So back to traffic. My daughter, she took this picture today trying to get to Manchester Valley
Thank you.
practice. She's a dual enrollment. She goes to college during the day, and then she goes to Manchester Valley for basketball practice. This is at 3:30 p.m. The first picture of the subject building on the left-hand side. Traffic is backed up as far as you can see. The second picture is right behind that, where a school bus is actually sitting in traffic, and it's backed up past the fence there where Broadbeck's junkyard was. Again, anybody that goes into the shopping center, I go to CVS, Fratelli's, it's very difficult to get out most of the time. It's always traffic at that light, at that intersection.
It's the library.
So I can jump down then to number 6, the effect of the car wash. Obviously, anytime you have reclamation systems and no fresh water, you potentially have a fair amount of odors, especially summertime. It's just part of the deal. They can overcome some of that, but you still could get those odors from that car wash. And again, especially because they're not getting city water introduced a lot of that. They are, proposed to that. And then back to the on that same line number 6, the noise. One thing that they did talk about were the air dryers, I believe, of the tunnel, which he said they were 70 decibels, which are going to be on the exit end adjacent to the library. And again, I've been here my whole life, 48 years, and my wife used to take the kids to the library. It's a big deal. So with that said, at that exit end, again, they talked about the decibels of the dryers. From there, I haven't heard anything about the decibels of the vacuums at the 21 vacuum stations that in this picture are the purple things hanging from the metal scaffold. So that's the third picture. So the question is that when you add 21 vacuums and then people are vacuuming their cars, and this is coming from experience, when their doors are open, they turn their music on and they turn their music up because that's overcoming the vacuum sound, which, can you imagine 20 cars vacuuming at the same time and everybody listening to their music very loudly? That's just part of the deal. I mean, this is coming from experience. And again, the only other thing on that third page that they didn't show there was a picture of the library where where it sits. Again, then the fourth page are the pictures of the air dryers, which is towards the exit end of the tunnel, which again is right there adjacent to the library. The fifth page, I actually took that picture today. Of where the subject building is on the left-hand side. That's a picture of the library, North Carroll Library.
This one.
Again, which is very heavily trafficked. You can see the parking lot there. There's several cars there. Again, that was 12:30 today. The last two things there I had was the schedule of the library. Again, back to the noise. I mean, you have family story time 10 to 11, and just reiterate, their hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they have a schedule there of stuff every day of the week. And then from there, they have North Carroll's Writers, group, which I'm sure that would not go too well, but that goes, several times a day. So I just printed off a schedule there of 2 months of scheduled things at the North Carroll Library.
And can you just clarify what your concern is about what's scheduled at the library in conjunction with the car wash?
They're going to be there trying to do the Writers Guild and
in the library?
Correct.
Okay.
Just as far as the noise, that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Again, they're adjacent to the car wash, and again, it's going to make a lot of noise at the library. I will reiterate that the bank building, so from there, I don't know, the most appropriate use for the land and structure, again, it should be an historical society. It is a beautiful building. It has been around there a long time. But back to appropriate use would be a business office, dentist office, doctor's office. I mean, something along those lines of, businesses. So again, back to things that I would question would be the traffic study, getting in and getting out of there, as their numbers don't add up. And then from there, back to the well water. We depend on the town to offer us water to stay in business, and it's important to have to not run out. I mean, things change quick. As people mentioned, there are droughts. Last year was bad. From there, going forward, what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure Oakmont Green are mostly on wells, the community, but then also Oakmont Green Golf Course has some substantial wells back there that when somebody else drills right next to him, it takes, he mentioned aquifer, it takes the ground level water down. And again, back to, it's only been 10 years when the town of Hampstead was trying to get those wells from Oakmont Green, which is a very short stone throw from where this site is proposed. And the other things that, for the, this Warshex is, what experience do they have, running the car wash with reclamation and how much they're really going to do. I've heard a lot of numbers and stuff, but what really is the history of them using this the system of no town water and just running a car wash off a well? That would be, I'd love to see some historic data on that. The 250 gallons a day sounds awful low to me. I mean, it's almost unconceivable to think that you can operate a car wash with 250 gallons, of usage a day. Again, love to see some historic data on that. But of course, it's going to be a negative impact on the traffic. It's going to be a negative impact on the noise in that area. As another gentleman said, the tunnel's facing directly towards his house and or the library. And again, when you add customers to any mix, they are going to add their own noise. And again, when you turn their, when they turn their radios up, and that's something you can't control. You can put all the signs up in the world. The signs are for somebody else. It's not for them. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm in non-support of this, and I would certainly love to see more of the numbers as far as the water usage. And that's all I'd say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment that don't support the application?
Good evening, my name's Terry Cannon. I live at 2421 Fairway Oaks Court, member of the community for 30 years, taxpayer for 30 years, 3 kids that still live in Carroll, 2 in the Hampstead area, taxpayers as well. So I really just want to reiterate and support what I've heard. The traffic is crazy there already. It's clearly going to be worse. The water usage, the reclamation that's happening, the water runoff that, my yard, my 1 acre, all the rainwater goes in the ground, goes into the aquifers. That won't happen here. So it seems like that's going to support their case because they can say they're going to rely on the rainwater, but that's not really going to be they're really going to be taking water from the surface that would otherwise go in. So I think that's something that's important to keep in mind as you do the math on it. I wonder what the allocation, I think the town for water and sewer, I think I've seen on the website, it'll say how much is available in certain areas. And I would think this property already has sort of an earmark or an allocation of some level. And now that if things go into a drought situation, they're going to pull more. And I just wonder, I am skeptical about it being similar to my toilets flushing a few times, a couple showers a day. It just doesn't seem like it would be the same. And the noise is certainly a huge concern. The odors that are possibly going to be there from someone who's lived it and probably knows a lot more certainly than I do. So I think it's just real important to keep all that, take it into consideration as you think about it. The historical nature of this building, it just kills me to think, when the first time I looked at the picture that they provided, I thought, well, the building's being maintained, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna freaking drive a car through it all day long. It's almost blasphemous for me to see. It's almost making a mockery of any historical nature to that building, and sort of, I cringe at the thought of the lady who talked about her family having been there. But I thank you for the time tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any other public comment that does not support the application submitted tonight? Okay, so at this time, I would like to invite any public comment in support of the application.
Can I just speak real quick?
Well, I'm going to
Hold
give
up.
you a chance,
You
but
can
this
come back.
is, yeah, I'm going to give you all a chance to rebut, but first I want to give an opportunity to any member of the public who would like to speak in support of the application.
My name is Kellen Hentz Sandman, and I live at 3916 Greenmount Church Road, which is right behind the second hole of Oakmont Green and next to Oakmont Overlook. I've lived in Hampstead for 39 years, so since 1984. I've seen the town grow to what it is today. I've appreciated all the additional amenities brought here through the years, from Walmart to bakeries, schools, parks, and restaurants. I believe that these developments have grown and improved the town. When I first heard that a new car wash was in the works, I was extremely excited, especially seeing so many modern car washes emerging. I believe that an upgraded car wash has been needed for many years in Hampstead. Enhanced and effective equipment, an attractive and repurposed storefront, rain collection for water efficiency, and dual opposite entry points to make the project a perfect addition to the town. With the mass influx to this area of those similar to my age and social economic demographic, lots of others like myself want this type of car wash experience. I actually think, and I understand the traffic implications, but I actually think it may be a positive impact, meaning most people aren't turning right, they're passing through that area to go north. So we actually are taking from that traffic and putting it into the car wash. So I'm in support for bringing Wash X to Hampstead and the community.
Thank you. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that. Okay. Okay.
My name is Mike Meager, 2321 Nevada Drive in Manchester. I went to school at North Carroll. I certainly respect all the opposition for this car wash. I cherish Carroll County. I've been driving up this road. I participated in the traffic. I heard all about this bypass, when that went in, and I dealt with a lot of, people who were affected by that in a negative way. Overall, I think that turned into being a positive. I've heard some, relatively anecdotal statements in opposition, and while I can certainly understand that, especially being a community member, from my perspective, I think that it helps some of those businesses in that area that struggle, personally. I think a clean car is a great thing. I can speak on that because I've been in the auto industry. Not only did I grow up in it, but I currently work in it with a lot of ups and downs. I went through the economic stretch in 2000. It started really in 2008, that stretched all the way to 2012, 2013. And sometimes what I tell people, and I'm on the service side of things, is that a clean car fixes a lot of problems. I always say when somebody's like, I don't really know what to do with my car, I'm like, hey, get it washed. Like, sometimes that goes a long way. I'm not an expert when it comes to rainwater. I don't want to speak on that. I love the idea that they're talking about using repurposed water. I think that's a lot better than, hey, we're just going to use well water, or this is our only plan. I mean, to me, man, hey, you certainly did some homework. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't know if we've heard from an expert today. To me, it sounded a little bit more anecdotal, but hey, I can respect that as a community member as well. One thing I did want to say, I also have, something to speak on that Michael Deutsch actually is a community member. He lived in Carroll County for a long time. I'm not going to get into reasons why he doesn't currently live in Carroll County. Perhaps that's a more of a personal matter, but I know that he wants to be back in Carroll County and that he cherishes Carroll County. And the reason why I know Michael is because he was a tremendous leader in a soccer program at Cape Horn Park and coached my daughter. Did a tremendous job. That's the type of people that I'd like to be involved in businesses in this community, are leaders and people that are interested in growing for the better. I think any business could come in there and tear that place down. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, without a whole lot of permitting. I mean, if they wanted to build some big snazzy bank that I see go up in Westminster all the time, which I'm a community member of because I work in Westminster, and I see it all the time. I see beautiful buildings get torn down because they can buy them. So to me, it's like, man, anybody with $1 million can buy that place and level it. The thought of keeping that beautiful building, and it's charming to hear the story. I didn't know that. Obviously, we drive by it and we see it, and I think, man, I think it's neat that they do want to retain that. To me, that's somebody that does understand the affluence of this area and the people of this area. And I just think it's important to know that he's absolutely a leader in this community. He helps raise our children. And for somebody who, isn't just coming in and knocking places down, I think it's going to be a benefit. And I think it's going to benefit those businesses in that area. It kills me when places in that little strip go in and out, right? With the mattress area, it kills me. I mean, I'm a big Five Guys guy. I was devastated by that. But hey, how can you survive when you have Fratelli's there? How can you survive when you have, other places there? And I think we lack leadership in that little square. I agree. A lot of that traffic is pass-through traffic. Hey, maybe it will take some traffic off. The traffic there, it sucks. I hate to even say that in front of this board. That's a bad way to put that. But I'd like to see more promotion of business in that area. And man, I can't think of a better leader and somebody that understands this community than Wash X and Michael Deutsch. So I'm in support.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
How are you guys? I'm Michael Ginsberg, and I represent the owner of the building, Eagle Realty. I need to give my address.
Get the address or Eagle Realty.
Go ahead. I'm not the owner, but I represent the owner.
Just give an address.
So I look at things from just a very practical sense. When my client purchased the building, typically when you buy a bank, and I think it's important to note that the reason the bank actually closed is because it was part of a merger, not because of lack of success with a specific location. So when I look at a piece of real estate, the thing I need to assess for my client is what's the highest and best use. And there are things that certain counties and jurisdictions and ordinances regulate so that we can't put certain uses on certain pieces of land or in certain buildings. With this one in particular, I'd say it's a great piece of real estate. It's on a highly trafficked road. It has parking and it's accessible. Those are the three main characteristics that any national retailer looks for when pursuing real estate. And we had options of people to go with because of inherently how strong the real estate is. And whether people in this town like it or not, and I again just view things from a more macro level perspective, I'm from Baltimore, but I represent landlords and tenants alike throughout the Mid-Atlantic. When people look at this market, one thing that's important to see is a highly trafficked road. And if you're looking for an area that's rural and has that rural legacy, you're not in the right town. There's a huge Walmart, and the development that's come around the center has made it appealing to more tenants that I work with and many of my companions do as well. I recently completed the Jersey Mike's transaction up the street. They're taking an old vacant space that had sat there for many years. So when we evaluated prospects for this piece of land and the bank building, what was important to us was to put something there that made sense for the community. We had offers from McDonald's, we had offers from Wawa, and users like that, while they would garner a much higher rent in some cases, in the case of Wawa, but I don't know if we understand the repercussions of putting a Wawa in, but they're digging underground, they're putting gas tanks in, which could lead to water infiltration, and that would cause a widespread issue. And then there'd have to be remediation if they were ever to leave, and whatnot. Their air isn't regulated. You go up and they have the same things. They have convenience, they have gas, run off all of that. So we didn't want to accommodate Wawa. And they were going to make an exception for us. They typically take a big piece of land and they'll pay a ton of money, and the cap rate at which it could sell at would make my client a really nice living in a short time, because he could sell it before the building even opens, because he would just sell the lease. They typically require almost double the size of the land that this property is, so we quickly dismissed that idea. And when it comes to McDonald's, another tenant, corporate credit, you could again sell that to anyone. It'd be a business owner or landowner anywhere in the country, in the world, would buy a McDonald's deal, because it's an annuity that just keeps coming in, and they can pass it down to their kids, and their checks clear monthly like that, because it's McDonald's. And you don't have to, you can be a passive property owner and you can just collect your checks. But again, my client is local, and he cares about what he's doing with his properties. So when we had a car wash reach out to us, and I'm sure as everyone's noticed here, car washes are a super, super popular category as of late in our world. Outside of Hampstead, to my knowledge, there really aren't many in Hampstead. Maybe there's just one that's perhaps a bit antiquated relative to the ones that we're seeing pop up throughout our state. I think someday you're going to drive down York Road and you'll probably pass 10 different car washes from Hunt Valley to Towson alone on the 695 Beltway. So to add a second one into the market is certainly, there's room for it. People study, the retailers I work with study markets. They take real hard data, because they're making these strong investments, $4.5 million. Not to mention reusing the building is something that's just unbelievable. McDonald's would have raised the thing. Wawa, you'd never know a bank or stone building ever existed there. So in reality, when you look at this from a practical standpoint, like I do with the real estate hat on, and I look at what's the highest and best use for this property and what works for the landlord and for the local community as well, we landed on the car wash. And we're lucky that we had the opportunity to do a local car wash. People that even live in the state of Maryland, because the ones that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, I could be talking to someone on the other side of the country. And they wouldn't be here. They'd send a representative, and you wouldn't have the opportunity to hear from them. So overall, all things considered from a practical sense, we feel that we ended up with a really strong option. Any other tenant is going to cause significant traffic. If we're a Chick-fil-A, for example, that would certainly back up into the road. McDonald's, probably the same thing. They've changed their drive-thrus to be double drive-thrus these days. Now when I'm looking for sites for these tenants, I need a bigger piece of land, but these guys were going to squeeze here to make it work, because Hampstead, whether people like it or not, is a market that's come a long way. It's developed. It's on national retailers' agendas and expansion plans, and there's just going to be more of it coming. I think the good thing in this case is that you're filling one use with another, and based on, I guess, data and information that was presented that all of my clients rely on when making these assessments, you're actually mitigating the amount and minimizing the amount of traffic that's garnered as a result of the use on that property. So overall, when we weighed the options, and I think you'd all be here too if it were some other use like a McDonald's or a Wawa, it'd be similar opposition. There really isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to that, but with all things considered, it was far and away the easy decision. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Michael Ginsberg.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there any other public comment in support of the application? Okay, at this time, I would like to allow the, what am I calling it?
Applicant.
Oh, okay. It's like appellants. I just keep wanting to
Yeah,
say
we will have
appellant.
to put a slash.
Okay. Oh, to rebut.
Excellent. Michael Deutsch again. I'm not actually going to rebuttal, but I'm actually going to speak exactly what Mike Meeker was alluding to. So I have 16 plus years in the car wash industry. Recently owned Auto Spa Car Wash in Cockeysville, Maryland. Sold to a private equity-backed car wash group to actually join partnership with Harry Pappas here on the WashX venture. We have several sites in the works, but I keep saying to all family and friends and partners that I'm most excited about Hampstead. I moved here in Hampstead in 2016. My ex-wife and I built a house off Houcksville Road. Lived there until 2021 until we unfortunately divorced. But I'm extremely, this is home for me. I've invested into this town. All three of my daughters go to Hampstead Elementary, first, third, and fifth grader, all girls. They play North Carroll Soccer Club. They actually dance 5 days a week up in North Carroll. Rec Council dance up in Manchester. So guess what? I travel that corridor 5 times a week, passing through that site, that intersection, and so forth. So us Wash X are super excited to bring our brand here to Hampstead, continue to grow Hampstead, better Hampstead. I can't think of a better place to bring our brand, our operation, our business model to this area, to this demographics, and what's going on here in Hampstead. Michael Ginsberg is really connected with the KNLB group that, like he said, he represents a lot of these car wash groups that are nationwide. Hundreds of washes that would, love to come to Hampstead, but we worked a great deal with him and his tenant that he represents, and we've done a ton of research on rainwater harvesting, all the impact studies, and obviously respect the water issues that not only are contained here in Hampstead, but all of Carroll County, right? We've presented in front of Carroll County on other sites that we're working on in Finksburg. We'll eventually come to Westminster and so forth. So this isn't our last stop in Carroll County. So we've done and spent a lot of money and worked closely with Tom, which Tom Miner also represents other car wash groups outside of Wash X. So he's done his research, money spent, time spent on representing his car wash groups to know when we're coming into these types of hearings that we're presenting from actual data and knowledge, right? Instead of just reading off raw numbers. So I appreciate the board being here this evening. I know you guys have better things to do. Everyone that's here in this room tonight, thanks for coming out. But we're super excited. We when I first presented the opportunity here in Hampstead to Harry and our other partners, at first they were like, Hampstead? Well, they're Baltimore County guys. They knew a little bit about Hampstead, but then I brought them out here and we started, grabbing lunch out here at the local restaurants and understanding the true community feel that everyone's talked about tonight, and we'd just love to be a part of it and look forward to the future here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to end public comment. And I would like to close the session to consult with legal counsel.
Somebody make a motion.
So I
and
make a
have vote.
motion that we close the session to consult with legal counsel.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, session's closed. Oh, Beck?
We go that way. Used to say.
Board. Okay.
Then I think maybe Jim, can you answer this? I wanted to understand more about the historical thing because somebody brought up and said that that was the town's responsibility. And I'm not sure that I really understand.
That's the first time that I've heard that. As far as reference to historical properties in the town, there's the Hampstead Historic District, which also includes several individual properties in the town of Hampstead. The town did not request that. That is the Maryland Inventory of Historic Properties. And they came in, they go around the state and they look at properties and they determine that. Most of the historic properties in town are for their architectural type. There's only one property in the town limits that's on the National Inventory of Historical Properties, the big list, and that is the old Hampstead School, which is now used for senior housing. I'm not aware the town has ever pursued a historic designation for any property.
Do you remember how long they said that that bank's been vacant?
5 years?
5 years, that's what I thought. Okay.
Year and a half?
I don't know.
I was trying to remember. Okay, so, deciding, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so,
All right, so you and I had like a great discussion last time. We'll have another good
I know.
this time.
We'll be here
So,
till midnight.
I know the one thing is the traffic. And the one thing that stood out for me was, at this point we have lots of paper, but Schaefer exhibit number 1, which talked about a more appropriate use of the land being a dentist office. But when I compare this to exhibit number 4, trip generation, I can guarantee you 100% that my dentist office has more than 66 total trips per day.
Yeah.
A dentist office is going to generate more traffic than this car wash.
Actually, on the numbers you're seeing on Exhibit 4, and correct me if I'm wrong, those are per hour.
Right. Per hour?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was like, you got a very good dentist.
Yeah, no, I thought this was per day.
No,
66
are-
people an hour are going to go to a car wash?
Yeah, it's actually 78 is the highest peak number.
Oh, okay. Well then, forget what I said because I thought these were daily numbers. But I'm a little shocked that 66 people an hour. That's a lot. That is a lot. Did you guys know these were an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, it was just me.
But I think,
Will we actually have 78 people per hour going there?
Well, that's what it's saying it's going to be, though. This
Right.
is you're saying these are the standards. These are the
I'm saying
standards.
simply that ITE are national, provide
We're
standards
smaller
that are
town,
used
right?
nationally.
Okay.
but here's my thought about this, that I hadn't thought about that Mr. Ginsburg brought up, and that is, you know, I truly can appreciate a dentist, a doctor's office, and those would be great. Tax people, you know. The building's been vacant for a year and a half, and nobody has done anything with it or made any attempt to do anything with it. So the concern for me becomes, you know, getting something bigger than a car wash there, getting a gas station there, getting, you know, another fast food place there that you know would generate that amount of traffic. Like,
Right.
you know, a car wash, I don't know, I think kind of sometimes a car wash is, you know, not just seasonal, but, yeah, I mean, I go a long time without getting my car washed until it's like really dirty, right? Then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I should probably go get my car washed. But a fast food place, you know, another store, those people are going to go. Like that is guaranteed generating activity.
Well, and I think that, speaking to your point, in the past couple of years, it sounds like there has been activity, interest at that level,
But
but
that's
not
my
interest
concern.
at the business office level. There
The
has not
smaller
been.
level,
There
right.
hasn't been a smaller level, because it is an area that is high traffic area, and that's where bigger businesses want to go. But I do question what information any kind of traffic study could give us as to how it's gonna impact that intersection.
But
Does
I
a
don't
traffic
think-
study give you any of that information? I don't know what a traffic study gives you.
What,
Uh-uh.
yes,
Hold
No.
on a second.
so,
Please, this has to just be the board. We
So if-
can't have input from the attendees. I apologize, but it's all their show now.
Can we ask for a traffic study? And if we can, what information would a traffic study give?
You can certainly ask the planning commission when they do the site plan review, because they will have to do a site plan review,
Right.
to request a traffic study, and the planning commission can also look at request that certain parameters of the study, or say, this is what we want, a particular study of that intersection. Now, it is my understanding, and again, I am certainly not a traffic engineer, but I've seen traffic studies. Intersections are rated, graded, like A to F, I think. That will, those ratings reflect the usage and turning lanes and turning radiuses and U-turns and all of the aspects of an intersection. So you don't ask for one, but the planning commission, which certainly will spend some time on this project, can ask for one, and that can be part of their requirements.
Okay, so then, here's two things that concern me. One is, well, yes, the traffic concerns me. As you know, my bigger concern is this whole water thing. Water is just a huge thing for me. But there will be another study for the water usage, correct?
The planning commission will
Correct.
look at it,
So
but the
what-
state
what
will
they-
have to look at
correct.
the well,
So
especially.
they need to apply to the Maryland Department of the Environment, and they need to apply to Carroll County Department of Health.
Okay.
Maryland Department of the Environment, they basically oversee the water system. One of the many things they do is they oversee the water system. And there are water allocations, as you mentioned, or I'm sorry, someone mentioned. And if they find that this use in any way would adversely reflect on the allocation and the usage of the town's water system, even if it is very minimal, they will let us know well in advance.
Okay.
And same thing along the lines of Carroll Department of Health. They look at it from a health issue standpoint, and if this could create anything, any issues.
Okay.
Jim, do they also determine whether putting a well there would impact the contiguous properties?
It should. And are you looking to
Well, you can't
uncap
ask
the?
him.
Can
You can't.
I can't ask?
No.
There's a chance that I know that the applicant was looking into possibly reopening the old existing well on the property.
Anything that happens with any well on the property, extant or new, is going to have to go through MDE.
Correct.
Okay. So, looking at that, we know that, okay, so when we're just looking at our deciding factors, right? We are well aware of the people residing in the area and their concerns, right? All documented. The growth of the community, traffic conditions, which is something that we can request a traffic study. Effects of the use of, the effects of the use of peaceful enjoyment. I mean, I don't know how to determine noise. I don't know. Until something's actually there, that you can actually hear it and say that it has an impact, I wouldn't know how to begin to determine that.
Or even how the sound will travel. I mean,
Well,
it's just,
yeah, and how many bays would be operating at the same time to have, that much going.
The decibel level.
Yeah, and I don't even know, how would you would have to have a whole nother study about decibel levels and the range that they reach to get to each residential house. There's no way to determine that.
Will every single vacuum be operated at the same
Correct.
time?
What I would hope is that the owners of this car wash, being that they love the town of Hampstead, want to be neighborly, that if it did begin to severely impact the residents of the nearby community, that they would be able to come together to work something out, right? That would be my hope. If we're talking about somebody that's coming in to be a local business and build a local community around their business, as opposed to somebody living in San Diego saying, I don't care, crank it up.
Well, I just think that no matter what business goes there, it's gonna be the same question.
Noise, yeah.
It's an unanswerable
I
question.
know, but that's, yeah.
So you can't say, well, for this business, what's the answer? And then, you say, well, what if another business goes in there? You have the same question.
Right,
So it's
right.
an unanswerable
But
question.
that's what I'm saying,
and
we
there's,
can't make a
other than just
decision on
saying-
what might happen.
Right. The only option would be to say, let's knock the building down and put nothing there. Then that's not what's happening here, so we don't have that
That's
option.
not best use of the property.
Right.
Right. So then we look at the effects of odor, dust, gas, all of that. They're going to have a filtration system. They're gonna have, right, that's gonna be monitored. So, your thoughts? I mean, I'm just like trying to,
I mean, my thoughts are is that they're meeting the requirements that we're looking for, and they've answered many of the questions that we've had. Except for a traffic study, a local traffic study.
Yeah.
And the water usage, which will ultimately be addressed later on as well.
right, those are my two main concerns. Now, is a traffic study, can that be a part of our decision that the planning commission has to conduct a traffic study? Can we make that?
Make that a condition.
Yeah.
I don't really think you can, to be honest with you, because the conditions are really applicable to the site.
Right.
That having been said, I have never seen a case where the BZA says, Planning Commission, we really think you need a traffic study, and the Planning Commission says, nah.
Yeah.
So if you recommend
Yeah.
in your motion and in whatever, if you were to approve this,
Right.
and you would recommend that, I'm sure they would do it. Frankly, I think they would do it even
I
without
do
your
too, but
request.
I like to just, cover
Belt and
all my
suspenders.
bases, right? So,
And just to make you aware of this, when it does go through the site plan process with the town of Hampstead, it simultaneously goes through site plan review with Carroll County Department of Bureau of Development Review.
You change the name all the time.
I do, and they do, and so they send it to all their different reviewing agencies. One of which is State Highway Administration, since that's a state road. I can guarantee you they're going to request a traffic study also. But yeah, I think it's a good move if you guys would want to recommend.
yeah, definitely. If that was to be if we were going to approve, then I would definitely want to make that a part of it. Okay. So, other questions, concerns, comments?
No, I mean, when I go through the list of our deciding factors, mine have been addressed at this point.
Okay.
I have nothing else to deliberate about.
So somebody want to make a motion?
Oh, I thought you had to. We
No,
can make a motion to
anybody can
close
make a motion.
deliberation? Is that what we said?
Oh, yeah.
Motion to close the deliberation?
No, it's an open deliberation.
Do you want to vote the evidence then?
Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah.
It was an oversight on my part.
Sorry.
That we have admitted Mr. Schaefer number one, but we have not formally admitted the package that was submitted with exhibits 1 through 4 by the applicant. That was just 1 through 4, right?
Correct.
Okay. So can we do that? Would the board accept these as exhibits 1 through 4 for the applicant?
Yes.
Done.
So now we need to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, anybody can make the motion. Well, no, make a motion to approve or not approve.
Approve, deny, or table.
Yeah, so, do you want to make a motion? Does that, you say you're ready? Do you want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve, deny, or table. Is that what I say?
No.
You gotta pick one.
You gotta pick one.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, you gotta list what you're approving. So here, this is what
How
you're,
did we do this?
right here. You're
I'm
making
making a motion to approve a request by WashX LLC for a conditional use to operate a car wash at 2305 Hanover Pike.
Motion seconded. With recommendations that the board conduct a traffic study as well as the water usage.
Okay.
So there's a motion on the
I get it,
floor.
I get it.
Okay.
I know.
So what we have to do, if there's no further deliberation on the motion.
There isn't. I'm
They
just,
have to just vote.
we did vote. They made a motion. All in
didn't vote
favor?
yet.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. We
Aye.
have a unanimous
Okay,
vote, or
okay.
no? I mean,
Okay, yes, aye. So, motion is,
Carried.
carried, approved, carried. Okay.
There will be a written decision issued by the town and will be sent to the applicant and all of the interested persons who were on the adjoining property owners list. Thereafter, after that is done, that won't be done tomorrow, but it'll be done soon. Thereafter, once that is issued and signed by Ms. Watts, the chair, there's a 30-day window in which anybody who has the legal standing to appeal this can appeal this to the Circuit Court for Carroll County. There are several statutory requirements for that process, so anyone who wants to should take good note of those, because if you don't do it right, it's not done.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I think that's where you are.
Motion seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.